We have touched upon several points about how the vital plays a part in sadhana, positive and negative. In fact, we have dwelt more on the negative side of the vital, because for most who cannot speak of a purified vital, the positive role that the vital can play in either realization or transformation is a matter of the future. Sri Aurobindo speaks in the book The Mother how the vital, when purified, is a warrior of the divine. Very few of us can claim to have arrived at that status, because the ramifications of the activity of the vital are so many-sided that one can never be too sure of oneself. We spoke of anger, we spoke of depression, we spoke of ego, we spoke of desire, attachment, greed, sex, speech. And then there is another point which Sri Aurobindo pointedly develops, and that is about remorse. It is, I believe, a common experience with most sadhaks that at a certain stage of purification, even as kind of sattvic purification, there is a tendency to look back. Even when we don't look back, things rush up from the past, and we are sternly reminded of the many lapses, of the many unspiritual movements, of the many objectionable doings of which we have been guilty in the past. In some cases, this past stretches very, very far, even in childhood. This is something that is to be guarded against, because recognition of one's faults, of one's mistakes, is healthy, but it can be overdone. And when overdone, remorse develops into a kind of indulgence, self-pity, self-condemnation, and one feels guilty before the whole world. That is why there has to be a line. Past is past. If I have done mistakes, they have been done in ignorance. If they have been done in insolence, well, that too is another kind of ignorance. We have to recognize, and once you recognize that a mistake was done, an error has taken place, there has to be, if one is sincere, a firm decision not to repeat that act in future. If that repentance, that decision not to repeat it is sincere and followed up, it does cancel to a large extent the karma of the past. Because from the larger evolutionary point of view, karma is there to teach us to develop and not to punish. So once we draw the lesson and recognize, that should be the end of it. So he says, remorse should not lead to depression. It should not be made an excuse to allow depression to form in us. There should be a quiet recognition and a will not to repeat it. And that's the end of it. If we prolong this moment of repentance unduly, it is another kind of vital indulgence. The vital indulges, it values even in suffering. Even if there is no immediate cause for suffering, it will recall some past events when one suffered and relive that moment of suffering. This tendency to recall and relive something that had better been left behind is a lesson which modern psychiatrists don't recognize. We have had occasion to discuss how the Western approach of psychiatry is to put you on the couch, you suffer, medicines can't cure you, and it is a fashion for those who can afford the high fees of a psychiatrist to go to their chamber, and there is a comfortable couch where you lie down. The psychiatrist, the doctor sits by your side, makes you feel comfortable, comfy as they say, and asks you what happened, how do you live and all that. And it is supposed to unwind you, release your tension. And then they will go backwards to trace the possible causes of why this kind of depression, this kind of obstinate melancholy sticks to you. So the doctor will probe deeper. What happened last year? What happened before that? What happened? And then you go back, you live in it, you dramatize the situation to appeal to the audience, the doctor, shed tears, go through, sob, all these. And then at the end, you are made to feel that you have got it out of your system. And you feel good about it. You pay him $30 or $50 or whatever it is, and then come out relaxed. But that's not the end. After a while, the vital, which has indulged in all this drama, wants to do it again. And again you have that mood. Again you go to the doctor. Again you do that. So this recall and reliving of a past experience which had better been left behind and forgotten, that is a vital indulgence. So, psychiatry, from this angle, is a wrong approach. In theory, you get it out of the system, but in a subtle form, you reaffirm it. It may have been forgotten in the limbo of time if you didn't pay attention to it. But by reliving it, you give it a fresh lease of life. And you give it a stronger claim to continue in your consciousness. So that is where the vital love of indulgence, vital loves, not only indulgence in pleasure, but also in this kind of suffering. It has a perverse delight, not only in the sufferings of others, but in the sufferings of oneself. Sri Aurobindo and mother showed no sympathy in such cases where the sufferings were caused or extended by vital indulgence. In the beginning, they would point out, they would try to help, but when it became chronic, they could do nothing about it. So this is a moment which all of us have to keep in mind. We may or may not be victims of that moment, but when it happens and those around us, we have to remember that this indulgence in the name of repentance, in the name of remorse, in the name of guilt, admission, is a vital moment. And what's the way out from all these negative moments? Cheerfulness. Mother would always value cheerfulness. You may be silly, you may be foolish, you may be disrespectful, but if the person had a smile, if the person was cheerful, she would welcome that person. I have seen many number of cases where the person was foolish, from our standard of course, but he would spread a cheer, laugh, make her laugh, make everybody laugh, and mother would always look forward to that person's coming. He may be a zero from the spiritual point of view, as we judge it. God knows what was her value, but she welcomed cheerfulness. Because, as she once pointed out, a happy disposition, even if it is ignorant, a habitual cheerfulness, it helps the psychic to come forward. There was once, I have told the story, not story but incident, years before, but the audience is different today so that I can repeat it. There was an old-fashioned lady. She came in a very disturbed condition. She said her daughter, of college-going age, very well behaved, very obedient, and a home bird. She had been sent for a change to another place. And there, as she put it, the girl got into wrong company. She started mixing with the racecourse people. She was very fond of horse riding, and she would go riding, go about with those people to their clubs, and so on. And she said she was terribly disturbed because the girl was going the wrong way. And somebody told her that if she came to our ashram and things were reported to mother, things would be all right. So she somebody told her to meet me, and she told me the whole story, and gave me 2 photographs. She said, this photograph is of the girl when she was good, and this photograph, older one, when she has fallen into bad company. So I told the whole story to mother and showed the 2 photographs. Mother looked long at the second photograph, and she said, with a half a smile, she said, but the psychic is more active here, in the second photograph, where she was supposed to be fallen in bad company. I had a bit of a traditional outlook, so I was surprised. So I asked mother, how can it be? Mother said, she is happy, she has joy, and that's the precise atmosphere in which the psychic comes forward. But of course, she said, this is not to be told to her, she said, to the mother of the girl, and scandalized all things. She said, it's not to be told to her. And she told me to return the photographs and give mother's blessings. And I did what was to be done. But that incident has struck in my mind. Whenever parents would report to mother about their girls here, that they are going wrong, they are going with boyfriends, and they are not studying and all that, I noted mother heard everything, read the letters, but she took no action. And when she was asked why mother is not doing something, she said, how do you know I am not doing? In her own way, but she allowed this kind of play if the person would get a chance to be happy, in which circumstance the psychic would get a chance to come forward. So, cheerfulness, habitual disposition to be happy is very important. And even in that moment, if we err a little on the side of the vital enthusiasm, vital elation, it shouldn't matter. These are some of the aspects that we should keep in mind, and we can take leave of the vital, though the vital will never take leave of us. It will always be there. If we are purified, if we are doing serious yoga, the vital will be a very powerful help in invoking the higher force, holding it, radiating it. You will always see a person who radiates a good influence or a bad influence is powerful in his vital. Many of the so-called spiritual teachers today, they have that vital grasp. People mistake it to be spiritual radiance. It is a vital glow, and there is an effortless wave of that vitality which carries you. So much so that Rajanish, in one of his lectures, he said, all of you don't realize where you are. You all think you are great, you are powerful, but don't forget that you are sailing in my boat. A very frank admission. In his vitality, all these people are letting themselves go, and they share his vitality. Now the same thing, I won't say the same thing, but the same principle held here when mother was there in her physical body. Everyone felt great. Everyone felt large. Everyone felt superior. Very few bothered to find out why, in spite of all our defects, all our deficiencies. We never felt any inadequacy. That was because her being was so large, her spiritual being was so large, that it would carry thousands effortlessly. She remarked at one time that in all her incarnations, this time she had the largest vital. Her vital being was the largest, most powerful during this incarnation. That is why she could spread effortlessly. Everybody could feel her approach from a very long, long distance. So there is apparently an effect of a vital enfoldment and a spiritual radiance may appear to be the same, but there is a great difference. So a vital, when it plays its due part, it can be a great agent for manifestation. Mother came down to manifest, and that is why she had that large, vital being which could be irresistible, but she never acted on her own will. Her vital never acted on its own will. It was always linked to the Supreme's will. And that is why even things which are very possible and ridiculously easy for smaller people, she did not do, because there was not that sanction, and she didn't believe in interfering with the destinies of people, and she always waited. Thus far about the vital. The next step is the transformation of the physical. We have done the transformation of the psychic, of the spiritual, of the mental, of the vital, and now we come to the physical. Before we enter the subject, we should be clear that when we speak of the physical, it is not this physical body that is exactly meant. The physical body, the material body, is only a part of the physical. The physical proper consists of the physical mind, the physical vital, the material body with its own consciousness and the consciousness that is involved, that is concealed in matter. You can say the material formation. Western scientists have discovered that the truth of matter is in energy, force. Even in an atom, they have shown that there is so much of packed energy that if the atom is split, a whole universe can be blown up. A universe or a world can be blown up. This is only one part of the story. Sri Aurobindo points out in one of his earlier talks that more important than the aspect of power, than the aspect of energy that is instinct in matter, in an atom of matter, is the element of consciousness. That force is not a blind force. It is a conscient force. There is the superconscious in trance behind that force. That is why the force does exactly what is to be done without being directed by our mind or intelligence. And this aspect of a concealed or a latent or a hidden consciousness in energy, in force, is a truth to be realized by yogic discipline. Now, from the next session onwards, we will take step by step a study of the various components of the physical and how they are to be disciplined, changed, and enabled to play their part in the process of transformation. I think we could stop there for the time.